that a good fluency development program doesn't involve unknown vocabulary and doesn't involve unknown grammar and probably involves largely familiar content. And it's just getting good at using what you already know. One of my favorite stories for that is when I first taught in Japan. I went and I taught a couple of weekend courses. And in the week between the two weekend courses, we traveled around looking at beautiful places like Kyoto and so on. And the time came for us to travel from Kyoto to Osaka to teach the second weekend course. So we got on a train, but I knew hardly any Japanese. And so, wasn't sure if I was on the right train. And so I just looked around and there was a young studious looking woman, sitting there wearing glasses and everything. So, she'll speak English. So I said, "Is this the train to Osaka?" And she looked at me and went, and buried her face in her hands. And I thought, what the hell have I done here? Because, I've read about Japanese people, once they lose face, they commit harakiri, and, you never know what you're going to be responsible for. And anyway, a man's voice from the front of the train said, "Yes, Osaka." So that's all right. So went along. Anyway, so she's sitting in the row, just, the same row as us, but with the aisle between us. So I happened to accident, and she picks a book out of her bag and starts reading the book. Well, I accidentally dropped my pen and I bend down to pick it up and look and see what's the name of the book she's reading. And the book's in English, and it's called The Macroeconomics of Agriculture. And I thought, what the hell's going on here? Because here's a book called The Macroeconomics of Agriculture. I can't read that book. That I'd be struggling, and yet she's sitting there. She's not flipping away to look at a dictionary or anything like that, but she can't cope with the sentence, "Is this the train to Osaka?" Anyway, we get to Osaka, get off the train, and she comes up to us and says, "Where are you going?" Now, I guarantee she's been practicing that sentence for the last 15 minutes, before the train gets in. And anyway, so we tell her what suburb we're heading to, and she says, "Follow me." And so we follow her, and we manage then to strike up a kind of conversation. And it turns out that she's a master's level student studying economics through the medium of English in a Japanese university, and so on like that, and so on. But it seemed to me here was a quite a good example of someone very knowledgeable about English, but with very low degree of spoken fluency. And you could see how if she had a course where she concentrated not on learning new vocabulary or things like that, but just said, let's take what you know and get that really good use and work that up to a level and where if someone says, you can respond straight away, And that's why fluency is a very important part of a course, because you can know a lot, but not be able to use it. And so fluency needs to be across each one of the four skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And the results from fluency courses are quite, particularly reading fluency, are quite striking. You get learners doing a reading fluency course at the right level for them, which means well below their current vocabulary level. And by spending about between 7 and 10 minutes in 20 different times, you can double the reading speed of some learners and increase most of their reading speed by 50%. Now that seems too good to be true, but time after time after time of doing speed reading courses shows that this is what happens. And so the payoff for focusing on fluency is very high, and it's a very important part of a course.
That is really fascinating, and I wonder if a lot of students need to kind of stop with the obsession of moving to the next level and just